name is Claus Rose. I am working in GE Vernova. Currently, my role is the EHS Separation Management Office Leader. So GE is right now undergoing a separation from GE to become an independent company. So my role is to make sure that we are ready in the EHS space to do this separation by the end of the year.
Fantastic. Just to kick things off, how long before Gen AI comes into any conversation as of late?
I would say that's probably more than on a daily basis, I would say right now, because everybody is realizing there's a lot of things that have changed over the last 4 or 5 months. Almost daily, I would say that we have a conversation on that topic.
Yeah, of course. And what were your initial reactions when Gen AI tsunami arrived?
I would say I was really not surprised. I was probably more surprised with how people reacted to the fact that this is coming, and people were anxious because maybe most people did not really understand what we're talking about. So the fear of the unknown kind of drove the response that, hey, I'd rather not talk about it. I'd rather not touch it because it's too complex, it's too far out, and it's scary. Instead of taking the opposite approach, being curious, asking questions to understand, and then figure out what are then the scope and the limitations. And I think that's the conversation that people should have instead. Because right now I feel that the conversation is still very black or white. Either you're in the one side corner where you see this as the evolution to the world, or you see it completely opposite, that this is the worst thing that's ever going to happen to us.
Yeah.
So there's not really somewhere in between.
Yeah. And just building on that, what are your learnings from past AI initiatives?
I think the initiative that we have launched with on our side has really been exactly that. We were failing until a point where we actually succeeded. And then people got blown away by the outcome. And then all of a sudden they started asking questions. Would it be feasible to also do this, do that? So what that had helped us do inside of GE Vernova is actually having an opportunity based on the platform to ask the right questions on how to get to the next evolution on Gen AI. So it's the only way that you can stay ahead of the curve is really by trying, get something in place, learn, move on, and then you take that ability and then you just develop the next magic bullet that's going to drive the next thing that you haven't imagined was possible.
That's great. And have you used an AI personally in your work or just for fun?
No, we have used it actually for work as well. We have an internal tool that is used in part of our business called MATE, which is machine learning and AI for EHS. So that's a model that's based on a non-supervised learning model. And we've literally tried not to put human bias into the mix. So we have allowed the tool to develop its own reality. And now we are working on developing that, also giving it the ability to then also come up with recommendations of how to mitigate, taking the learning that from the past and then project that into a future outlook if we decide to do nothing. And then with the AI interface, then provide ways where by doing the right things, people can very quickly see the impact. And by doing that, we've actually managed in our space to take a lot of potential risk for people, normal day-to-day operation out of the equation. So our statistical, I would say, improvement on injuries and significant near misses have gone down quite significantly. And we're not talking about a statistic and only. We're talking about a substantial. So when you talk about an improvement in certain areas up to 90%, and on average around 50%, then it's not a statistical anomaly. It's just, it's proven that it actually has worked, and it also has a place for us.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. Are you seeing people using it in their daily, operations and their functions?
Yeah, because now our managers can go and ask a question to the tool, and it gives them an ability to get the data that they need. So you can ask simple questions, and then you get the output of that. And again, it's also one of the discussions that we'd had is, well, it's not 100%. You're absolutely right, it's not. It's pretty high though, but it's never going to be 100%. And the first thing that I was met with was a lot of leaders that came and said, well, if it's not 100%, we can't use it. So, okay, let's try and do a test. So we tried to do a test with 2 people with few records to then come up with the same solution. And guess what? They spent many, many days and were not able to get even halfway where Mate was getting. So I've proven the point that even humans in that space are unreliable because they can't manage that amount of data. So that was the one. And the other one was, yeah, but can we be sure that it's coming up with the right things? Absolutely. Because machine learning and AI have their internal way of validating their accuracy, which is far superior than what a human can do. So we need to trust that. And we've proven that it's actually working by the numbers going down. So now you have the tool and you have the reality that you map against each other, and then you see the benefit. And I think this is where you get people that are skeptical into a different state of mind.
Yeah, that's very fair. And are you feeling pressure to apply Gen AI to other parts of your business as well?
I'm not feeling pressure, but I think the business internally is I would say driving a pressure to get smarter.
Yeah.
Because let's be very honest, what Gen AI does, it's actually giving us the ability to be smarter.
Yeah.
And then getting analysis done in a split second instead of multiple days, right? And this is what this is all about.
Are you feeling that pressure to apply it from the top down, or is it also bottom up as well?
Well, I would say in our case, it was primarily driven by a bottom up approach, because let's be very honest. I'll use our example again. If you get, in our case, more than 1,000 new reports in every week, and you have a backlog of reports that is way above 500,000, how are you going to give feedback to people that you're actually doing stuff with the things that they're telling us isn't working? Well, we didn't. Let's be very honest. We tried to as best as we could with the human capabilities that we had, but now the front line is actually for the first time seeing a real life feedback on what is actually happening with their inputs, because it's transformed into something that shows where the risk areas are. So they have actually come forward and said, this is really good, because now we understand where we need to watch out, where we need to, improve ourselves. So this is where it helped, and this is then the bottom-up pressure. And I think the bottom pressure is based on what you're able to show with Gen AI. From a top-down perspective, of course, they're also seeing now the benefits of having things in real time. So you can ask the question now, and then you'll have an answer in 30 seconds or less. That was not possible before. So you can create, so in a lean terminology, you have, when you use a problem-solving method inside a lean, you have to create Paretos. Paretos is based on data. Now we can create Paretos based on real-time data in split seconds. So we can get very quickly through our problem solving because we don't need to hunt Paretos in different systems. We can pull them from multiple systems and then just get the output very quickly. So even on that side of the house in Lean, there's one important rule. You have to eliminate waste. And this is what we've done. We've eliminated waste, which is time wasted to try and generate, in this case, Paretos as an example.
Yeah. And when was the last time you experienced a technology triggering a similar response as to how this has been playing out?
That's a good question. I think it's probably the first time we've seen that to that level. And as I mentioned, it's been a journey to get there. There are a number of people that have tried, but when I take the learning that I have now and then apply it to other systems that we've used in the past, in all honesty, that was not really smart learning.
That's fair. And how prepared do you feel?
That's a difficult question because you don't know what tomorrow brings. So if you'd asked me 6 months ago, I said, we're pretty prepared. I got surprised on how quickly things were moving in the last 4 or 5 months. So for that, were we prepared? I would say we had an upper hand, but were we fully prepared? No. And if we have a next evolution that will go just as fast, I don't think anybody could be prepared. We have an idea of what we need to do, but being prepared is very dangerous in this space to go and then put your hand on heart and say, yeah, bring it on, we're ready. I think that would be a mistake.
And not to put pressure on you, but what is your elevator pitch for Gen AI as it relates to your organization specifically?
So my elevator speech right now is really, it's an opportunity to learn, and we don't know what we don't know. But we have an opportunity with the systems that we have to get an answer to exactly that question.
That's great. And what advice would you give to enterprise leaders as they embark on this journey?
Be open-minded. You know, there's the human ability to come up with solutions is always going to be on the forefront.